The grand ballroom was a vision of opulence, a testament to Michael's wealth and taste. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen waterfalls, casting a warm, golden glow over the polished marble floors. Guests in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos moved gracefully, champagne flutes in hand, laughing and sharing polite conversation. Soft holiday music filled the air, blending seamlessly with the occasional pop of a champagne cork. The room smelled faintly of pine, vanilla, and expensive perfume, a perfect Christmas tableau. But amidst the festive grandeur, Clara felt like a ghost. Her heels clicked softly against the marble as she moved along the edge of the crowd, her posture straight but her heart hammering with panic. Each laugh, each clink of a glass, felt like an accusation, a reminder of the life she was about to leave behind. Her hand clutched the envelope that held the divorce papers, the weight of it suddenly heavier than any gift she had ever carried. She paused near a tall, frost-tipped Christmas tree, its ornaments sparkling like frozen jewels. The lights reflected in her eyes, masking the tears she fought to hold back. She remembered how, in happier times, she and Michael had decorated that very tree together, laughing as she insisted on a perfectly symmetrical arrangement while he casually tossed ornaments wherever he pleased. Those moments now felt like memories from someone else's life, a life that had quietly slipped out of her grasp. Clara's mind wandered to the secret she carried, a life growing inside her that Michael didn't yet know about. The thought of telling him, of revealing that he was about to become a father, made her chest tighten. Could she really face him with that truth tonight? Or would it shatter whatever dignity remained between them? She took a deep breath, steadying herself, and approached a secluded corner where a small marble table held the papers she had so meticulously prepared. Her fingers trembled as she smoothed the envelope, staring at the bold letters that spelled out their impending separation. Around her, the party carried on, oblivious to the storm inside her. Somewhere in the crowd, Michael laughed, perfectly at ease, and the sight of him stirred a bittersweet ache she couldn't suppress. For a moment, Clara allowed herself to imagine another life, a life where this moment didn't exist, where they could laugh together under the tree, children's voices echoing around them. But reality pulled her back sharply, and she felt the sting of tears on her cheeks. She had made her decision. Tonight, amidst the glittering lights and cheerful faces, she would step into the unknown, alone, carrying both heartbreak and hope. Michael's laughter drifted toward her, crisp and confident, the sound that had once made her heart skip. Clara turned slowly, her fingers tightening around the envelope. There he was, in a perfectly tailored midnight blue suit, the soft glow of the chandelier highlighting the sharp lines of his face. He noticed her hesitation immediately, his brow knitting in concern as he excused himself from the group of investors and high-profile guests who hung on his every word. Clara, his voice carried that calm, measured tone she knew so well, yet tonight it grated against her nerves. Are you all right? Her throat tightened, words tangling in the knot of fear and sorrow lodged there. She wanted to scream, to beg him to understand, but all she could do was shake her head slightly. The envelope seemed to burn through her fingers as if it were alive, demanding that she act. Michael stepped closer, concern replacing the usual composure in his eyes. What's wrong? You're shaking. Talk to me. Clara's chest heaved, the weight of unspoken words pressing down on her. Finally, trembling, she placed the envelope on the marble table between them, letting it slide closer to him. I can't do this anymore, she whispered, barely audible above the music and chatter of the party. Michael's sharp eyes scanned the document, and confusion flickered across his face. Divorce. His voice was low, incredulous, as if merely acknowledging the word might undo the reality. Clara, why? We can fix this. She shook her head, a single tear sliding down her cheek. We can't. I've tried so hard, Michael. But I can't keep living like this, pretending everything is fine when it's not. I can't pretend anymore. His hand reached for hers instinctively, the touch both familiar and unbearable. Clara, please, we can work through this. Whatever it is, we can fix it. Tell me what's wrong. She swallowed hard, the secret inside her pressing against her ribs. She wanted to tell him about the child, about the tiny life that bound them forever, but the words refused to come. Instead, she pressed the pen into his hand, guiding him toward the signature line. I've made my decision, she said, her voice trembling, and it's final. Michael's fingers lingered over hers for a heartbeat, the warmth of his hand a cruel reminder of everything they were losing. He glanced at the envelope, then back at her face, searching for some sign, some explanation that would make this feel unreal. But Clara's eyes, shining with tears, told him everything: love, despair, heartbreak, and a quiet strength he couldn't deny. Around them, the party continued, the laughter and music like a distant echo. In that glittering room, surrounded by cheer and celebration, Clara and Michael faced the unspoken truth. Their marriage was ending, and no festive lights could soften the blow. The signature on the papers felt heavier than any weight Clara had ever carried. As Michael's hand slowly withdrew, leaving the pen and the finality between them, Clara felt a hollow ache settle deep in her chest. Around them, the party carried on, oblivious to the quiet devastation unfolding in the corner of the grand ballroom. Laughter, clinking glasses, and cheerful holiday chatter clashed painfully with the storm inside her. Clara stepped back, her gaze dropping to the envelope still lying on the marble table. The divorce was signed, the act irreversible. A part of her had expected a surge of relief, perhaps even a glimmer of freedom, but instead there was only emptiness. Her fingers instinctively rested on the small swell of her abdomen, a secret she had carried silently for weeks. She was pregnant. A life she had hoped would bring joy was now tangled in heartbreak, caught between the end of her marriage and the beginning of a new, uncertain journey. She remembered the moment she had discovered the pregnancy, alone in their sunlit apartment. The tiny line on the test had seemed so fragile, almost unreal, yet it had changed everything. She had imagined Michael's reaction, his pride, his protectiveness, the way he might cradle her and whisper promises of the future. But life, it seemed, had a cruel sense of timing. The man she had imagined sharing this miracle with was now signing the end of their union, oblivious to the tiny heartbeat growing inside her. Clara's breath hitched as she glanced across the room, seeing Michael laughing with his guests, his expression the same charming, confident mask he always wore. No one could guess the secret she carried, the life that would forever link them even as their love dissolved. She wondered, bitterly, if he would ever know, if he would ever regret the choice they were forced into. Her fingers tightened around her clutch as tears threatened to spill again. She had always believed love could conquer all, that passion and understanding would see them through any storm. But now she understood the cruel truth: sometimes love wasn't enough. And yet, amidst the despair, a quiet flame of hope flickered within her. That small, hidden life was hers alone to protect, a promise that some part of her and Michael would endure beyond the end of their marriage. For the first time since entering the ballroom, Clara allowed herself a shaky, almost defiant breath. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with heartbreak and sacrifice, but it was hers. And perhaps, one day, that life she carried would be the reason to smile again, even if Michael never knew the secret she bore tonight. The ballroom lights glittered like 1,000 stars, but to Clara, they only highlighted the emptiness in her chest. She felt a sudden urge to escape, to flee the opulence, the laughter, the cruel normalcy of the world around her. Every smile, every toast, every cheerful word was a reminder that her life had changed irrevocably tonight. The divorce papers were gone now, tucked into the envelope she had handed to Michael, signed, final, unyielding. Michael turned to look at her again, his brow furrowed with concern, and for a fleeting moment, the old warmth flashed in his eyes. "Clara, wait, please. Can we talk?" His voice carried a tension that betrayed both confusion and regret. But Clara knew there was nothing left to say. She shook her head, forcing a small, fragile smile, one that was meant to mask the torrent inside her. "I'm sorry, Michael," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the music. "Tonight, this is over." He opened his mouth, searching for words, perhaps hoping to argue, to convince her to stay, but he knew deep down that her decision was unshakable. The man who once believed in forever had finally met the reality of a heart that had silently broken. Clara took a deep breath, straightening her shoulders despite the heaviness pressing on her. She walked toward the exit, each step a mixture of resolve and pain. Her heels clicked softly against the marble floor, echoing like a metronome of her own heartbeat. Around her, the party continued as if nothing had happened. Laughter, music, celebration, but for Clara, the world had narrowed to the cold, quiet night outside the ballroom doors. Once in the fresh winter air, She pulled her coat tighter around her and pressed a hand to her stomach. The tiny life growing within her was a secret she would carry alone for now, a bittersweet tether to a love that had ended too soon. She allowed herself a shiver, both from the chill and from the weight of what lay ahead. Tears slid down her cheeks freely now, unrestrained by chandeliers or glittering guests. As she disappeared into the night, the lights of the city sparkled around her like distant hopes. Her heart was heavy with grief, yet somewhere in the sorrow, a quiet strength began to grow. This night, with all its heartbreak, marked both an ending and a beginning. She had lost a marriage, yes, but she had not lost herself, and she carried within her a life that promised another chance, a reason to rise again. Clara walked on, alone but unbroken, the night embracing her as a silent witness to both her pain and her courage. And somewhere in the glittering distance, the first snow of Christmas began to fall, delicate and pure, a small, silent promise that even in heartbreak, life finds a way to endure.